Hi everyone, Nosi here. In today's discussion, part 2 of how to buy a house, we discuss if a deposit is necessary to buy a house. We talk about the tips and things to look out for when you're buying a house, and what happens if a person's application is not approved. And we also discuss what happens when you have a co-signer. I will link Shapestone's details in the description below, and I'll also link part 1 for your convenience in the description as well. Let's get into it.
All right, no, thank you. But we will dive more. There's actually lots to actually unpack. As you get into it, you realize like, oh, there's credit, oh, there's this, oh, there's this. But I'll definitely set up sessions for those type. I just wanted to talk about deposit. So, how does a deposit help? Like, do I need a deposit? If I don't have one, what can I do? Will it affect my application if I don't have a deposit? Like what?
All right. The issue of deposit, it's not like it's across all board. Like to say on every application, you have to raise a deposit. There are scenarios that allow deposits to be needed. For example, one is buying a property as a foreigner, right?
Okay.
And applied with whatever visa that this person. Okay, let me be subtle. Let me not foreigner, but let me say a non-South African. All right. Let me say non-South African, not to say foreigner. So the banks. Different banks, some they say the buyer must raise maybe 40%, some they say 30, some they say 20, depending on the bank or depending on your standing of that finance of that property. To say if the property is $1 million, then they say we can only give you 700,000.
Wow. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
And in some cases, you find even if that person is not South African, but his papers, his income, everything, his credit is good, you might find them getting 95% bond, or sometimes 100%, depending on what they've gathered, and then they are standing with the client. Then the other scenario for deposit to be needed is you want a house for $1 million, but according to your income, your affordability, you can only qualify for 900,000.
Mm-hmm.
But you still want to proceed to buy this property. Maybe you've got your savings. So they tell you that the property is $1 million. Maybe the offer price that you've signed is $1 million. The bank approves you 900. What you have to do is you have to set off the balance. That 1%, it's yours. Okay. What you go the 10%, the 100,000. Then you have to pay it as a deposit.
As a deposit.
So
is
usually,
is it possible to add, like, the person doesn't have cash for like the transfer fees, the bond registration cost. Can I add that to my loan application amount?
With the transfer fees, no.
Okay.
But with the bond fees, remember, the bank that is giving you the loan is the one that appoints the bond registration attorneys. So if you write that, they structure your loan that over and above the 1 million that they've given you. If the bond costs are 30K, then they say they've advanced $1,030,000 to you.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So some they agree, some they don't, but usually it's a practice that some banks they do. They allow you to add the bond fees on the loan, on the principal loan, on your bond finance. Then they add it to that. Or maybe they can give you 2 loans, right? The 30K that you are failing to raise as bond fees, they create a loan account for you, your personal loan account. So you are running 2 loans. So that one, maybe they can say you pay it maybe in 6 months or 1 year, depending on their credit thing, to say when you're lending, you have to pay over a year or whatever, because they can't give you a 30K over 20 years. You see?
Yeah.
So they have to create a rider loan on that. Then you'll be paying it over and above your thing. So when they are now doing your repayments, they can add that component. Then it ends when the principal 30,000 lapses to be paid. Then maybe after a year or 10 months or 6 months, depending on what they are going to give you. But in terms of that deposit that you were talking about, those are the most scenarios that you raise the deposit to augment your loan, that, or maybe you afford, because you have failed to reach the point where you have exceeded your limit, because your limit is $1 million, but you want a house for 1.5, so pay the 500.
Okay.
Some they give you, they say raise a deposit, not because because maybe they say because of your credit, right? Or your paying behavior, still we need a deposit.
Okay.
Right? Yeah. Not because you don't qualify. You qualify for $1 million, but they just say to cushion themselves, we are not giving you $1 million.
We'll give you 95% or something like that.
Yeah, I'll give you maybe 95% or 90% of that. Even though if you qualify for it, they have reasons why they say that. Remember, I said they look at a lot of things there. Then they come to you or they interview you, and then they look back and everything. Then they say, okay, fine. Fine, it's within the confines, or this property is within reach of your limit, but can you raise 20% of that? The same thing that happens with rentals. If someone comes and rent, there are some instances where people, they say 1-2 months deposit, right? Yeah. So we're testing to say, are you prepared to commit to this deal if you really need it?
Okay, sure. All right. So what tips can you give somebody when they're looking for a house? Like just things that a person must just think about, like any tips from you say you're not called real estate agents, you're called property managers, ne?
Property practitioners now.
Property practitioners. Okay. So what tips can a person just know? Can you just give us some tips, please?
I think the tips are simple. They are the same tips that you give someone who is looking to marry. Who's looking for a wife to marry. Just find the best person for you.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Don't look for a property, or don't look for someone who is expensive for you.
Okay.
There are some high maintenance, there's some middle maintenance and low maintenance. Depends on you know yourself what you want.
Yeah.
So don't do this because so and so have done this, or they bought a house in Sunning Hill, so I have to buy a house there, or they bought a house there, and then you see. So don't buy a house. The first thing, don't buy a house out of peer pressure.
Okay.
Because it becomes a problem to you. You see.
Sure. Okay. Yeah.
So buy the house when you are ready. You see, and buy it for right reasons. You see. So when you are buying a house, choose area, or know what you want. That's the tip number 1. Like I said, know what you want. You see. For me, if I'm buying a house, I'll either buy in an estate or in a complex. I'm talking of the house that I want to stay in. Why?
Okay.
Because I prioritize security.
Okay. Yeah. Because for me, it's like I'm just because like I you know, as you when you're younger, fine, you want to buy a house in a complex because you're alone. You just want like a 2-bedroom apartment and for security reasons as well. But like as people get families and get married and have children, they want more space. So now it's like standalone house or or a complex house. You know, it's a little tricky.
Okay, I know you know Greenstone, right? Greenstone has estates where you find standalone houses inside those estates.
Okay.
Yes, they have their own precast walls within that estate.
Mm-hmm.
You see.
Yeah.
So if you yes. So for me,
And the thing about like a standalone house in like just a normal suburb or something, that standalone house, you can paint your house pink if you want, you can paint it orange, you can do whatever. But like the thing with the complex is like there's rules.
there are
You can't
rules.
just you
Yeah.
can't just paint your house whatever you want to paint it for. So I suppose it has to do with like a person's individual goals. Like what are you looking for? Because I know some people want like a standalone house because especially if you buy like those older houses, they're more spacious. Like the garden space,
Yeah, they're more
they're more
spacious.
spacious. You can like renovate it if you want. It's just that obviously it's a standalone house. There's no security, like very minimum security. But then now the new ones have security. So yeah.
But this thing, where we are heading to now because of technology, right? And because of Kaizen, the continuous improvement of whatever we are doing, you have seen that even those standalone houses, they've created some boom gates, right? Those standalone houses where there are security guys or patrolling security, their alarms, these ATTs, the members, they are always there, right? So it's no longer the same like before, right? And even the security at the house, there are some advanced security features that you are seeing now in these standalone houses. Looking at the cameras, we are having those alarms that can sense even someone passes through just walking by the gate. You see, it reports that see any sound that comes, then the alarm then reacts. So if you are buying, right? Some people they buy for reasons to say, or maybe if you are buying, this is another tip. If you are prioritizing security, then go into an estate or a complex. If you are prioritizing freedom, if you are prioritizing space, and you don't need to be controlled, you know that you are a noisy person, right?
Yeah.
You like to party, like you see. Then you end up saying maybe people they hate you, or maybe people are tribalistic, or people are racist. But it's you who came with your behavior in a complex that does not allow that. When they tell you that so and so and so and so does this and this and this is not allowed. So when you are buying a property, ask, even if you are buying a complex, what are the rules in this complex?
Okay.
You see,
Okay. No, I
am allowed
and
to,
also I know the homes like the standalone homes also have like groups now as well. So they also have groups where they look out for each other. So yeah, things are getting better for them.
And some other I've seen in the Edenville area, they went along, is it 3rd Avenue, 2nd Avenue, and 4th Avenue. They've created to say from this point to this point, they've created a gated thing that people can use the remote. In that street, they closed that street. So it's now more like it's a complex, but it's not a complex. You are in your house, but there are no cars that go through that street. They made that street to be theirs. They created their own little boat corporate. They created their own whatever, you see.
Are they allowed to do that?
Yeah. There's a house that I sold last year. It's within that thing where it's not a boom gate. There's no security at the gate. Each and every person has got his or her own remote. They linked the thing on the intercom that each house is linked to the intercom. If you have a visitor, they just press there and everything. But there's no estate manager, there's no board corporate. They created their own own thing, you see. So
someone can't just come up and someone
Yes.
can't just come and say, "Hey, beep beep, I'm outside," you know.
You see.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they are treating it like you are getting into a complex, but it's not a complex. They are standalone houses.
Oh, I think that's
so the tips that people when people inquire to buy, that's why you see on the description of a property when it's listed, people they list saying it's pet friendly or it's not pet friendly. The complex has got a swimming pool, or if it doesn't have a swimming pool. So if you are buying, you have to not to write them down. You think that you want a complex that has a swimming pool. You want a complex that has got fiber. Because you go there, then find the complex does not have fiber. You have bought the property. Then you think you made the wrong choice. Or you get to maybe when you know that maybe you don't have a car, but you bought a house. But you bought a house that is far from where you can access public transport. Becomes a problem as well. So you have to look at, if you are looking at, you want to stay close to buy a house close to the airport, or you are buying a house that is close to a school or to university, to whatever, a stadium or whatever, you or close to the CBD, you have to know those. You have to write them. That's why I've seen people that I come across. They come holding a checklist, right? So it's allowed. So they go, they tick whatever they've noted. Say we want a house with this.
Okay. So just to also move on, if so for a person we're just going to the next question. I think we've got 2 left after this. So what should a person look out for in a house? So I come to a house, because sometimes I've heard that some people buy houses and then they find what are those things? There was this person that I knew who bought a house, and when they went to the house, there was a drain inside, like a patio, like a veranda. I'm not sure what it's called, but there was something covering the drain. So they actually thought it was a room. And then when they moved in, they actually found a drain there. So how do you inspect to make sure that this house that you're getting is what is when you go and see it, that it's the same thing? How do you what can you do about that?
Okay, going to that. Let me answer it broadly in saying, okay, when you're buying a house, don't buy a house that you just come across. Have options, right? Have options to say this or that, and then go and view them, see them both. Even if you are not convinced, you can even request to say, I want to view again. Right.
Okay.
Now you go to view again the house, and there's another thing. You can buy a house, like you said you didn't know that there's a drain there that was there.
Yeah,
then what then happens if those people bought a haunted house where there are ghosts? How do you know that this house is haunted? The seller is selling the house. Maybe they are running away from whatever is disturbing them at night. You wouldn't know that.
I don't know. You wouldn't know that. You wouldn't know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So there's a requirement that is there now. I could have shown you. It's only that I don't have it. That is attached. It's a requirement now by the deed office and by the board now. When you are buying a house or you are selling a house, there's a disclosure form. Before it wasn't that critical, but now it doesn't. The process doesn't proceed before that disclosure form is completed.
Okay.
Right. So the seller must disclose anything to do with that particular property for sale.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So if whatever that is in the house, you have to write it down. There's a list of things that a general list, because they know that every house has got a bedroom, every house has got a kitchen. There's a lounge, there's this. So you have to write everything there.
Okay.
Say this.
So even if like the house has like mold, or if the house has like a roof issue or something that someone can't see when they see the house, they have to disclose that as well.
Exactly. It's like you sorry to continue giving the same example. You want to marry someone, they don't say that they've got a child. It's not a problem that they've got a child, right?
Yeah.
But don't make me make lifetime decisions because of the lies, right? You see, or because you didn't tell me this. It's not a problem that the house, well, this house is not a new house. It's not a problem that but the problem comes when you don't disclose. You see,
I understand.
I saw another house where I don't know what happened, but they dug in the lounge. So there was a hole in the house that you could even get in. I don't know what were they doing, those people. So now they put a carpet. The house was empty. They put a carpet, but the hole was still there. Now we did everything. The seller didn't say that there's a hole that was dug in the house, but then they just put a carpet and put a table there. Now, buyer is there now.
Yeah.
You see, you buy a house, you're excited, maybe you want to change, you want to, or you move around the house. I was moving around the house. I said, there's this sound that is coming like there's a hollow underneath.
Yes.
I got curious, he opened that. See, there's a hole that was so big, I don't know where it was going.
Sure.
How do you do that? And
This is before the person bought the house.
No, after the person has bought the house.
Wow. Sure.
So
what can you do after? So what can you do then in that situation?
Really, there's nothing.
Okay.
Especially if you haven't completed that disclosure form. If the person complete the disclosure form and then they don't mention that, they can be charged for misrepresentation. But if they didn't sign that, how do you then? They can say, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
You see.
Sure.
Yeah. So those are the tips that you have to know, that when you're buying a house, don't just buy a house like because don't just buy a house simply because the house is cheap. You don't know why it's cheap. Know the reason. Right. Sometimes it's good to know why is this house for sale. It's your right to know. The house is for sale, but I'm interested to know why is it for sale. Yes, why is the seller selling?
Okay.
You see.
Okay.
And when you're buying the house, try to, if the house is listed for a certain amount, try to negotiate, man. Don't just say it's 1 million, then you put the offer 1 million. Right?
Sure.
Try to have a power, like to just maybe try to say, no, even if you know that you've got that 1 million or you have above that, but try to negotiate. It's another tip that can work.
Yes.
You see,
yes.
You can buy a
so
house
if it's like 1 million, I say it's like I say maybe 950K or something.
Some people, they can say 1 million. I've got 850. Then the seller says no. Right? Then the buyer can come and say, okay, 900. Seller said, not 900. I want 980.
Okay.
Buyer says 920. Seller said 950, I won't go down.
Okay.
Now
Okay.
you buy it at 950. Already you have saved the 50. It now covering your transfer fees. Maybe if you wanted to cover, it's now covering for your transfer fees. So it's a tip that you but don't lose a property because you are over negotiating.
Yes, that's true.
Because while you are negotiating, there's someone who is looking for that particular same house.
That's
the moment you come back tomorrow or end of day to say, okay, fine, let's proceed with 1 million. They say, I got an offer of 1.2 or 1.1 or 1,050,000.
Then you've lost the house.
Yes, you've lost the house.
Okay. So if a person's application is not approved, like what can they do? Like, do you try again later, or look for something else, or what do I do?
If the application is not approved, based on what?
Say affordability. Let's say affordability, because we spoke about credit, we spoke about all the other things. Like I want this 1 million flat in Sandton, and I'm trying to see if I can do this, and then it's so what can I do?
Let me answer you this one. This way, you are buying a house. You are looking to buy a house. Now I'm talking from the property practitioner side. I don't want someone to waste my time, or I don't want I don't want as well you yourself to waste your own time. Right?
Oh, so you as a practitioner will say, I don't think you can afford this. Let's try this area, or let's try this complex, or let's try this whatever.
You say, notice how you say you want to buy a house. Okay. I ask you questions. You want to buy a house, or you inquire at my house that I'm selling. You inquire on it. Then I said, my house is 4 million. Then you say you want to view. I don't just come for that viewing. Because before I interview you or before I pre-approve you. So if I come there, then we move to say, okay, we're signing an OTP and submit to the bank, and then we find you just qualify for 2 million. But we've been going around showing you 4 million houses. Which means we're wasting each other's time.
Okay.
So we don't want to wait to the point where the application is approved because of that affordability thing. But in some cases, it happens. I call you, you say, Shapestone, I've been pre-approved. I qualify for 2 million. It happened with me recently. Someone says, I qualify. So this seller was selling 2 houses at once. So he said, these units of mine, they're going for 1.1 each. But if I get 2 buyers one buyer who can buy both, I can give that buyer at 1 million each. Then this guy came, we told him the deal, he agreed, we viewed. So he came with his friend to say he's buying with his friend. So in trying to get the property cheaper, they said we are buying each one of us. So the seller agreed on 1 million each. Then I said, but we need to, at first when he inquired, I said, we need to pre-approve you. He said, I've been approved, pre-approved for more than that. We did the offer to purchases. We signed. We went for another viewing. I had to drive all the way to go to Alberton. We signed with the owner. I came back. I went the other day. There's something that was missing. He signed again. We gave to him. He submitted the bank. You know what happened? They were both declined.
Sure.
Now we have wasted the seller's time. We have wasted the agent's time. Even your time has been wasted.
Yeah.
You see, that's why I'm asking here to say, if the application is approved, it is disapproved, it should be based on something to say that we can deal with. To say, okay, fine, you qualify for 980,000. for a 1 million house, then we can say, okay, fine, 20, we can add 20 there, right, as a deposit there. Or we can say, we can cover to say, okay, fine, I will deduct from my commission and then I pay for that and then I suffer the 10,000 and everything. Then we work on it so that the deal goes through, right? So now we are declined because the buyer doesn't qualify. It can be declined today, but it can be approved tomorrow, or it can be declined by this bank, but the other bank can approve. Remember, banks, they don't give a flat repayment interest, the interest rate. They don't give the same interest rate, but they've got a range of on the point something. If it's 8 point something, it makes a difference on your in terms of your approval repayment as well. Yes, and a repayment. So
now
look on that.
Okay, so now fine, it hasn't been approved. If I decide I want to co-sign with someone, maybe my parents, one of my parents, or something like that, or a partner, how does it how does it affect my ability to be able to qualify for the house that I want?
All right. Remember the co-signing of this deal. Long time ago, it used to be, I want a house, or to say, maybe your mom wants to buy a house for you, and then she's the one, the bond is on her own, but then when it comes to the deed, it will be in your name. But it seems like now they've changed their thing. But what happens is now, let's say you want to buy a house with your boyfriend or your husband or whoever, whether you are married or you are not married, or maybe with your sister or with your mom. So the document that go for approval, it's your documents and the co-applicant. So the bond will be in your both names and the deed will be in your both names. So now what is on the bond is what should be on the deed. So if you buy the two of you, if you default to pay, which means the two of you are defaulting to pay for that property. But it doesn't affect you, because the reason why you joined apply is because your salaries or your affordabilities or whatever, just to augment to be able to qualify for that particular thing. It's the same as when someone is trying to rent. They can say, I cannot qualify on my own, but I can jointly apply with someone. Then they can, maybe because of affordability. Usually it's because of affordability. If you see people apply jointly, it's because of affordability. One person does not qualify. But if you merge the two, so they merge the two incomes and they say, okay, fine. If it's if one is earning 30, the other one is earning 20. Now we've got a 50K. Now the person qualifies. These two, they can qualify for this house.
Okay. So if the one person can pay and the other one can't pay, what happens then? The other person,
I'm saying,
one person must cover the full. How does that all work?
That's what I'm saying. This is the thing. They deduct the arrangement will be, it's either now they are deducting from you or from both of you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's an arrangement.
Not half.
Yes.
Do they do half?
It depends. Maybe it's a 60-40. Maybe it's a depending on how do you want to. The share ownership of that. You can say we are applying jointly, but remember sometimes it's not a 50-50 share ownership of that house, as in the case of if you apply if two married people apply. because it's always at 50-50. So in some cases, you find when you apply jointly, but the other person is a 60, the other person is a 40. Or maybe there are 3 people who applied for that. Maybe it's a 30-30-40. You see?
Okay.
To the point where maybe the time that you decide to sell the house, the share ownership is there to say, from that, the proceeds of that sale of the house, when you decide to sell in the near future or the long term, you find that the other person gets this percent of the price and the other person gets. But now when the one person defaults and then you still continue to be able to pay, it's now your issue with the other person now.
All right. Okay.
Because maybe you don't want your credit to be affected, or maybe you don't want to lose the house. You can still continue paying, then you deal with the person that you applied with.
Okay. All right. No, thank you.
Was the bank?
Thank you so much. Thank you.
It's not there to look to say, oh, no, sister, this and the other person, this and that. If they're saying
they don't get involved in that.
Yeah, if they are collecting
they
from
just want their money. Full stop.
Yes, they just want their money. How you do it, they don't know about that. They don't get involved.
Those are your own personal things. Okay. No, I understand. No, thank you so much for this session. I'll definitely set up a session for the costs and also for the credit score discussion as well. But I'll link your details in the description below. And Bania, thank you so much for your time. We can actually talk about this. It's actually very interesting. I really enjoyed this session. So thank you so much.
Okay, it's okay. Thank you so much. I appreciate it as well.
Okay, we'll talk. But thank you.
Okay, thanks a lot, Narcissa.
Bye.
Bye.